Hello and welcome to Future of Product webinar about portfolio management, especially about increasing the effectiveness of portfolio management. I'm Henri Hämäläinen, heading the advisory and coaching unit at Eficode. Have been working with quite many companies about different phases of portfolio management overall. And I have with me here Yanne Veronneau. So maybe Yanne, I give the stage to you now.
Thank you, Henri. Hi everyone, my name is Yanne Veronneau. I'm the business lead for Eficode in the Benelux region. I also have 20 odd years of experience in IT, mainly focused on product development and consultancy in a commercial role. So just quickly today, what we're going to talk about is the investment curve of added value. Perhaps if you've seen any of these webinars previously, you're familiar with this. So we might go a bit quickly through this part of the presentation, but please don't hesitate to ask questions about this. I'll come back to that in a minute. We're then going to talk about optimizing the investment, the 3 portfolio model, and the key takeaways. So if you have any kind of questions, please add them to the chat and I'll be addressing them whenever possible. Some might come in the presentation later on and we'll have some time to talk at the end of the webinar.
Like Jan said, this might be something you've heard before already. But overall, when you talk about and think about investment curves, basically, this is true to all the products, all the features, all the releases, basically all the investments you do in an organizational context. Is that there's these 6 different phases to it. So there's the beginning where you actually evaluate whether this investment is worth to invest into, and making this kind of a portfolio, comparing it to the old other investment opportunities, and then you decide to start doing it. So that's the place where the investment kind of starts to use money. So the development happens here, whatever then it is and how big it is, but still in any case the development spends money, and then at some point around here we get to release it. In modern days, modern software, you might do the alpha release, beta release, commercial release, but in any case you release it somewhere around here, and then it starts to gain profit. And as it starts to gain profit, or gain revenue, then it starts to go towards the cumulative investment curve, starts to go towards profit overall. And then at some point, hopefully all products get on top of this line and start to actually create profit for the organizations. Of course, the investments here are still ongoing. Quite often there's some like operative costs and stuff like that happening all the time. So this is a cumulative curve of things. Then after a certain period, every feature, every product, every release comes to a point that it's not anymore that kind of a profitable and that valuable, and it's at some point the curve starts to turn down. This happens to every product, every release, every feature at some point. And then at that point you need to be able to decide what to do, whether you boost it, whether you do something else, or to try to kind of gain more profit out of it, or then you actually end the life of that product. But this is the investment curve of added value, which some of you might have seen before. But this is the background of the thinking for today. So that's the reason I wanted to show it once again. Just to highlight that, to understand the different functions of an organization affect the curve throughout the life cycle. So product development and product management are mainly affected throughout the curve, but of course sales and marketing and operations are more affecting to the curve in the later phases of the curve. Sometimes, of course, depending on what you do, might be that sales are already affecting here in the very beginning, or marketing here in the very beginning. But this kind of gives you overall idea of how different functions actually affect the curve. And why I'm showing this is that it just kind of highlights that the success of the curve is about collaboration between these different roles. It's never about product development or product management or sales or marketing only, but it's about like them together. And one more thing I want to show is that like every organization really should be full of these curves. There should be new curves all the time, new investments where you actually are trying to get above the surface and actually find these very successful products or releases here. And the main thing now is that the average, how well in average you do with these investment curves, that's what kind of makes or breaks the company overall.
I find it really interesting here to see that you can visualize that innovation is really a key to having continuous growth within any company, I think, and it's what keeps a company relevant and fresh. But you see as well that you're not going to succeed in every investment, of course. You see some of the curves that are way under the profitability line. And I think that's really important to keep in mind when you're building products is, fail early and keep innovating, keep investing, and keep bringing out new products, new features.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like to be even better this picture, maybe we should have had some kind of curves that end early, because that's also something that would highlight like an innovative company is that they try something early and then so there are these like a small starts of the curve for the innovative companies for sure. But this is to explain that, hey, it's not about only one product, but it's about like investments, total investments together that actually make it or break it for companies. Great. So, okay, so now that we talk about the investment curve and understanding what the investment curve is, the main now thing is for organizations should focus on optimizing the investment curve. So we talked the investment curve through now from point of like what you can do in different phases to be able to optimize the investment curve. So at large, there are three places. There's one is this kind of optimizing the development investment value. So kind of how do you make sure that the investment you start get released as fast as possible? Because the surface here is the kind of a cost, the sunken cost in a way. That's the cost that gonna go before you start to earn any profit out of any product. So the smaller you can keep the surface of this curve, the kind of less you need to make the money in order to be profitable. So optimizing the development investment values is one thing. Then the second thing, which actually is very important to understand, is that this kind of a slope of the curve is actually a very important aspect of becoming profitable. So how quickly you get to the market, how quickly your customers start to know about the thing you've done, how quickly they adopt the value you've done with the investment, that is kind of affecting the slope of the curve a lot. And then as mentioned already in the beginning, this optimizing the lifetime profitability. This is something that kind of based on our experience, organizations are not that good normally optimizing the lifetime. Too often they leave the kind of love their products too much in order to kill them early. There's one customer which is so important to us that we need to keep this product alive or something like that, which actually starts to have an effect to everything else, and that kind of this affects for the other curves also, because there's no separate resources for normally for all the products. Good. So then kind of going in even more smaller slices on what's happening on the investment valley, on the investment curve, and starting this investment valley is that like it's maybe one of the most valuable things to do is to make sure you do the right things. Kind of you really do your homework well. Kind of use the business cases, business experiments, proof of context, lean startup methodologies, whatever, to make sure that you select the right investments. Because if your investment is, if the scope of the investment is incorrect, even the best organizations cannot fix the curve later on if you haven't realized it in the beginning well.
Yeah, that's definitely the most important part, I guess. If you want to start the curve, you have to start it properly, and it's also good to take into consideration your whole company identity, your product strategy as a whole at this point, so that you know that this product or this initiative really fits with the rest of your offering. But I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, this is often sort of. We look at that quickly, but I think this might be the most important part, even though we haven't spoken about the curve actually at this point. But yeah,
and I agree. I think the thing here is that what I sometimes kind of find it difficult that like somehow the agile methodologies recently have brought this thinking, and even some of the kind of lean startup methodologies is that like just go ahead and start and fix it later. And I do understand what's the idea there, but I still feel that sometimes you start very large initiatives without proper thinking and proper analysis. So how to kind of, that's the reason it says here lean business case. So kind of how to make a business case so that it's still reasonable and you get some value out of it, but not like just starting and figuring out later whether this is important or not.
Yeah, sounds pretty important. Yeah.
Yes. So then the next phase, like the development investment valley. So kind of the how long something takes to develop. This is maybe from all of the things in this presentation, this is something that I've worked the most with for the past decade or something. So too often it's people only see this operational productivity, how we can be faster, how we can be kind of a quicker on time to market, how we can just like get more out of this group. And I think that's something that if you are good, you can actually get some percentages out of your operational productivity. But it's really hard to get even 10% increase to your operational productivity. So that's the reason there's two things more here. One is this architectural productivity. So how kind of my guidance here would be that like how do you do like architecturally the minimum? How do you make your architecture so that it would be easy to continue with? Can we actually outsource some of the things? Can we kind of take some pieces from another part of this organization or even like from third party to actually kind of create part of the product easier, like just with money? Because normally on investment valley, the money isn't the problem. The problem is the resources and development overall, the time spent to development. So how could you do some architectural selections that would actually increase your productivity? And I think there it's easier to take 5% or for even 10% of your productivity. That's doing smart decisions. And then the third is this, I've never figured out a proper name for it, but it's scope focusing productivity, meaning that like how do you make sure that you do the right things again here? Like how do you actually like fulfill the need of the customer but don't kind of over exceed those if your strategy isn't over exceed those. So how do you stick like your kind of a product strategy overall?
Yeah, I guess it's an interesting concept, and it's an important one, because I think oftentimes in this phase people focus on the technology, focus on the product, focus on a lot of things that have sometimes little to do with the actual customer need. So in this case, maybe focusing on the customer need really, and then on what you define as your MVP or whatever your core product really. What is it that you need to release as a 1.0? I think that needs to be sort of in the head of everyone from the moment you start developing this feature or this product.
Exactly. Actually, I have to tell here is that like I've used with some of the companies I've worked with this about this, because MVP is such a hard thing to understand. So it's understood so differently. So I've actually used this, like if I would talk MVP to Eficode internally, I would say minimum Eficode product. So what's the quality level we are willing to give to the customer to fulfill their need? So put instead of viable, put the kind of a company name in between there. So that kind of defines, hey, this is the level we actually, this is according to our kind of a brand identity and product strategy, but it still fulfills the customer needs. The minimum customer needs which we are aiming to. So I think that's exactly the MVP, but I normally put it to the company context of like a minimum Eficode product is this.
Yeah, and that adds the layer as well that it fits into your product strategy and your brand and your ways of doing things.
Exactly. Good. So this is about like the investment value overall.
Sorry to interrupt, Henri, but I guess this part is probably the hardest, right? I mean, isn't it hard to get that 5% or 10% more efficiency in this? You have it's people, it's culture, it's silos, it's tooling, it's a lot of elements, a lot of like normal ways of working, how people are used to doing things. So getting this right is probably in terms of this curve, probably where the most effort would go. Am I correct there?
Yes, of course. This is the like also from the work amount point of view. This is the largest also. So quite often, or one of the largest, you spend a lot of resources and time here. So from that end, this is one of the most important ones, and I think my message is that like you need to focus on all of these three things. Try how to improve operational productivity, how to improve architectural productivity, and how to improve scope focusing productivity. So that's the way you kind of from bits and pieces you actually gather together like these improvements to really optimize the development investment value.
Yeah. Thanks.
Good. So then, as said, the slope of the curve is very important in order to get the products or releases or features to be profitable. And actually, one of the main things here is that like, have you understood the customer need? Have you set the customer experience correctly? Because that sets the direction. Like, do your customers feel even before buying that, hey, this is something I need, this is a feature for me that I need? So have you like done your homework well, that you've understand your market so well that hey, there's a possibility for your investment to succeed? And then if that's okay and that's done well, then it goes to the go-to-market activities, especially the ones listening from Finland. At least in Finland, we are very poor on this. We do these world-class solutions, but then we just hope that somebody finds those. So we don't actually like really go out there to tell that, hey, this is something we've done, and so go-to-market activities are very, very important and should be done much better in many cases. And then the third thing here is that that kind of you need to help all the, and now I'm talking to the kind of a development point of view, is that like there needs to be a close cooperation with like sales, marketing, delivery, operations, and support, and creating those capabilities to be able to react quickly to the kind of a slope of the curve overall. So maybe the one thing, obvious thing here, maybe some of you realized already, that like if you are starting to do these at this point, when you've already released, you will be late. Then this curve starts to be just here, waiting, and then it starts to go out later. Start to kind of go up too late. So the point is that this work of this slope which affect the slope of the curve actually are done already before the launch. So during the development phase. And I think this is, please.
Yeah, and it's an interesting list that you have here, because I think that when sales and marketing and support and operations are involved in the product development phase, it has a way better chance to lift off, but also to stay profitable, to stay climbing for a long time, because it's a product that can be handed off, that is commercially viable, or at least as much as you can make it in advance. Of course, this is the moment of truth. At the beginning, you have an idea and you're gonna do a case, but of course this is the moment where you find out if you have a proper market fit. But I think when you involve all these disciplines during the development phase, you have a way better chance to make this a success, and probably a way better product actually.
I fully agree. Like that the things that should be there, like, is it sellable? Like, do we have all the elements to be sellable? Do we have like the same message for everyone? Do we have the support in place? So that when the first customers actually get the product, like can we actually serve them well, so that they can share the message? Do we kind of like have all of these nowadays, like YouTube videos ready for them? All of this, of course, depending on the product, but I think you get the idea overall. I think this is more and more important. Like, in a way, everybody can develop stuff, but the actual customer experience and customer success comes from this augmented product. So everything around it, not only about the core product, but and that's the reason I really see this collaboration to be the key to success of these investment curves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fully agree.
Great. And then, which was mentioned already a bit, was this optimizing the value of existing products. And it says also here assets, because sometimes it could be like a platform or a part of a product which could be optimized at this point. So there are different type of items, but the key message is in here is that, like, there needs to be this like a constant attention to these products and assets and features. That are we succeeding? Could we do something to boost the sales? Should we package it differently, or should we kind of put things together to have like a new pricing there? Can we somehow improve the delivery efficiency? For example, selling or taking some new partners in it, or going to some niche market there, or whatever we could do to actually get the most value out of the asset we've done already earlier. That's the kind of investment we've done. So this is kind of easy money. There's no major investment anymore needed. All the sales from this come directly to the bottom line. So optimizing and trying to keep the curve going upwards is something that we should be really constantly doing. And then on the other hand, if there are risks, if there are like products or features that are not anymore successful, kill them early. I think that's very difficult. Especially if there are product managers listening or business leaders, they normally fall in love with the products. Hey, this is something I've personally been developing 15 years. Hey, I can't get rid of this, even though it's not valuable to the company anymore. So this, it's not easy, but this is something that every company should become more better all the time.
Yeah, it's a really interesting subject, because this is also quite difficult to do, especially once, when you have a context where you have maybe dozens or hundreds of different features and products, because the product teams are focused on a set of features and continuously improving them, maintaining them, etc. So they're in a difficult position to look at their product or their feature in a sort of commercial context, of saying like, oh yeah, well, how is this fitting? And so how does that actually work? Like, what would you recommend organizations do to monitor these things and to, well, cut loose early in some cases? Like, because I can imagine that there's different levels here. Different people have to be involved, and as well with products and features, you have cyclic sales and usage, which can make it difficult to look at the long-term curve, so to speak.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. I guess it all starts with having the transparency overall. So I would say that there are too few companies who do this at all. In a way, they don't understand or it might be just looking the sales numbers, nothing about like how much we are actually spending on it or where it affects. So what are the risks of it and stuff like that. So, and how many people are still involved, and what often happens is that your best people are actually somehow involved for the old products because they've been there for so long, or all old features. So it has like a double effect on the new, because then it just burns your kind of a best people or the most experienced people as such. But my guidance is to start to measure. Like, start finding out your dashboards that, hey, this is what our products, or if you're a SaaS company with one product only, then like your features, how much this feature is used, how, like, whatever feedback we get out of these features or products, start gathering those, kind of cyclically come back to those dashboards to look for, and then you start to see patterns that, hey, every time this is going down, or this isn't providing any new value to our customers. No one is asking about it anymore. There's no sales pipeline for it anymore. So right. Kind of I would say that the most important thing is to build these dashboards, and it's not a one-time thing, but you must come back to those like once a quarter, or even once a month or something, to look for what's happening. Maybe once a quarter might be enough, but
yeah, and potentially, I'm just thinking now, but potentially you'd need to have people on the operational side and people on the commercial side talking to each other about these things, because someone on the operational side might see, this is costing us a lot and we're not seeing the usage we want to see. And on the commercial side, it could say, well, this is driving or it's not driving sales for this product. Or so exactly. It's important as well, I guess, that there's communication at that level. We have an interesting question from Dimitri. I'll read it out on this subject. So he asks if we have any examples on how to incentivize business leaders to make product killing decisions. He often observes this situation in corporations. So how would you incentivize killing products?
Yeah, I guess you can't incentivize directly the killing of products, but you can incentivize the success so that it's not related to the product. That would be my suggestion. That like you should have the incentives built so that it's always like more important to enable the future sales rather than the past sales. And I think this the question where, without knowing the background, I think it hits that jackpot there, that like too often the incentives work so that it's all right to sell the old stuff, which actually harm the company more than the new stuff that should be the which are like here in the cycle, and so people are selling these, which in 2 years will be actually kind of going down. So of course it's not that straightforward answer, but I think the question hits the jackpot from that perspective, that this is something that you need to think about, that are the incentives correctly for these.
Yeah, it's interesting because of course if your incentive is to drive the sales or the success of a specific product, you're doomed to fail at some point, right? So it's just
exactly
when is it going to happen in the future? Very good question, Dimitri. Thank you.
Great. So driving towards this 3 portfolio model we've invented for this investment curves overall. So kind of if we get back to the investment curve of added value, there's actually kind of a bit different type of like decision like times for these that like phases for decisions. There's one is this like what we started with. Where should we invest? How will we succeed in the future? What are the investments that will actually make us successful in let's say 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever the interval is. But that's the kind of opportunity portfolio. This is normally business leaders, even the CEOs are quite often involved in this type of decision making, that hey, this is where we kind of are putting our money for the future. Then there's this development portfolio, like how to make sure the investment we've decided to do, how not to spend too much money there and actually get the investments out as fast as possible. And some might think that, hey, isn't that what the kind of R&D or development departments do? And now I hope kind of the thing we discussed some time ago about the commercial product development. The commercial product development should definitely be part of this development portfolio, because that's having a high effect on how do we get the full product out the optimal way. And then the third one is this offering portfolio. Like that's what we just discussed, like how can we optimize the value from our products and features? And why this is different, that there are actually quite often quite different people involved in this decision making. Like you Jan said well, that in here the operations group should definitely be involved in this decision making. Sales and marketing definitely should be involved in this decision making. Then operations, sales and marketing might be involved here, but this is more about like really where the big investments are, and this is more like the development side of things. So there are different people in different phases, and basically we've built this picture out of this, is that like when you have the opportunity portfolio and opportunity decision makings, you actually get these kind of needs from different sources, like sales and channels and market needs. You might get like unexpected possibilities, or then external sources like legal source might be a good example. Like GDPR is something that just came and you need to analyze like how do you do it in an opportunity. It's an investment everybody had to do, but it was kind of an unexpected external source, at least for a certain period. And then with many of the good companies really have to research and experiment separately, that like they are innovating their new things, they're trying out things, and then those go back here, that like you keep the curves already like purposely small, that hey, we try something, we get the feedback and we get back to the opportunity portfolio, and then we make decisions to put those to the development portfolio. Of course it's not that black and white decision here, that it's sometimes kind of a slides there, but I think it's good to be a decision that it's communicated well, that hey, now we started to invest into this, that it's not like sliding everything or automatically here. Great. Then on the development portfolio, like I said, there's the technical and the commercial product development, and then when you've done it, it most probably takes many iterations. This is like the iterative work overall, and then when you're finished, it actually goes to the go-to-market activities, and you need to make sure your value is getting to the market. And then after the go-to-market activities, it actually goes to the offering portfolio, and like there it stays for years and years and years. And at some point you start to decide to do some like life cycle decisions. And like I said, most of the products have lived there for years or even tens of years, depending, of course, on your industry. But the important thing, the final important thing on this picture is that like every decision here should be guided by the product strategy. So everything on opportunity portfolio, everything in development portfolio, everything in offering portfolio should be guided by the product strategy.
Yeah, I think that's something that unfortunately we see in the market is not always the case. That people have a good idea and they work on a solution, and it's not necessarily aligned with the product strategy, I would say the identity of the company and how they do things and their branding and everything. So this is really, it should be at the center, and next to that, as you have illustrated here, is the customer need. And that's really what you're looking for, right? Like a perfect alignment between customer need and your product strategy.
Exactly, and the selected customers also, which is part of the product strategy, that like not for every customer, but our customer base, our market.
Yeah.
Great. So then I think we've discussed this a bit already through, but I'll just want to highlight this, that like an opportunity portfolio, the focus is picking the right investment, kind of doing these business experiments, lean business cases, and then as a final thing, kind of playing the long and short-term game in balance, because I think that's important. You need to be, you cannot only play the short-term or you cannot only play the long-term, but you need to have both type of activities all the time going in the opportunity portfolio. And I think that's one of the key findings, at least for me, that I've worked with companies recently, is that like how to make sure you are playing both games at the same time. Then on the development portfolio, like making sure you don't, you have these VIP limits. Hey, there's a limit how many things our development can work at the same time. How to make sure the collaboration, like discussed already, how we collaborate with sales and operations and everybody required to do the value creation during the development phase all the time, and creating this release readiness from technology and business perspective overall. And then on the offering portfolio, focusing on the optimization of the profitability, and then the kind of understanding the customer value of the assets, that hey, is this still valuable, or should we actually kill it or replace it with a new product or something like that. Great. And then even though there's lots and lots of kind of practicalities how to start and how to build up this tree portfolio, model, we wanted to give just few tips on what could you do when you start to think about this kind of a 3 portfolio model overall. Is that like suitable tool set is actually important. Like there's so many different investments in different phases that without a proper tool set, like you don't actually have this status understanding, you don't have the transparency to all of these work, and actually it's even hard to communicate the decisions if you don't have the tools in place. Like, hey, this is in a phase of rejected, or this is something that this is priority 1, or this is priority 3. These type of things, this is a strategic choice. So how to, when the group of people in a company actually grows over 50, it's already, you need the tools to be able to communicate these things. So even though tools shouldn't be like a base of like it shouldn't be the driving force of any change, like that it would be the tools that we are changing, but without the tools, this change won't happen. So you need to have the tools in place there to make it happen. Then these decision-making models, I think we've discussed about these ones already, but every month or every 2 months, we come to the offering portfolio, we check the dashboards, we do the decisions. There might be like agreed that, hey, the decisions are like marketing campaign, sales campaign, kill the product, something like that. Agree what you can decide for different products and features. And then this cyclical attention. So with all of these different 3 portfolios, like this attention management, like it cannot be fire and forget. We did the investment decisions, and let's see in 2 years what happened. But there need to be this cyclical attention to the items. Hey, what's happening with these? Do we need new decisions about it? Because in any point of the curve, you should be able to actually kill the products if something new happens.
I think just a note here, Henri. It's interesting, these things, because basically a lot of corporations, when you ask them, what are you doing right now? The only thing they really know they're doing is what they've been doing. Basically, we're doing more of the same, right? And these things, if you have transparency, if you have a decision model, if you have this attention to your portfolio and you come back to it regularly, I think you make active decisions on where you're taking the company. You do make sure that your strategy is being implemented instead of just doing more of the same and having no real grip on what you're doing.
Exactly, to the point. Yeah, exactly that. I think that's like when you've implemented this stuff, like you have so much better control on your investments, and when you have control on your investments, you have control of your future as much as you can, because you're playing in the market, so there's other players, but at least like it's not you're being proactive rather than reactive on things.
Yeah.
Good. So finally, key takeaways. Hopefully for you from this is that like what we've discussed already. The first one, success of investment can be influenced throughout the investment process, meaning that you can actually affect not only in the portfolio phase, but you can affect a lot there. Not only in the development phase, where you can actually save costs, you can actually optimize the thing out easier, but also at the like after the release, you can do a lot of things to influence, like go-to-market activities, helping sales, helping marketing, all of this.
And we say here can be influenced, but I would say should be influenced, or even must be influenced, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
Being conscious of it and being proactive again on making the most out of your investment.
You are right. It should be influenced there.
Yeah.
Then one thing which we might not kind of discuss that much today, actually, but one of my favorite things on portfolio management is that like a portfolio is plural. You're not deciding on a single item, but you're actually deciding investments like against each other. Like you, even though you would have all the money in the world, you don't have all the kind of a development resources in the world. So you always have scarce resources. So you are always kind of comparing investments against each other. And even you, like if you would take some kind of an Apple or Google example, that you almost have like all the money in the world and all the resources in the world, your market is not capable to take everything at the same time. So there's always some kind of a limitation. So you need to be able to choose the investments that you do. So that's what it meaning, what this portfolio is plural means, is that like you need to compare the investments each other. You need to decide what are the most important things that to focus on and what not. And then the third takeaway is that like when your problem field is complex, make sure that like your solution kind of is simple, that you can actually repeat it all the time. This attention management is here, that like come back to these things, even though your dashboard for offering portfolio isn't perfect in the first time or second time. When you come back to those and constantly improve those, then it becomes better and better and better, and then you start to be able to make the better decisions there, and you become more profitable and actually a winning organization.
Just a comment about point number 2. I think it's really challenging to have focus, right? As an organization, regardless of your size, you have to have some level of focus. And I really liked what you said about, choosing a certain number of things that you're doing, some for the long game, some for a short game. There's some school of thoughts that you should maybe have a couple of home run swings, as they say in America. So going for those big potential products or features, whatever it is. But I think that's really an interesting thing to think about. How do you have focus in your organization on your portfolio, that you don't have 100 things if you're a small organization? Big organizations can obviously have a bigger portfolio and will have, but still they need to focus on what they can do, because like you said, the resources are finite, and what your market can take is also finite. There's a limit. So choices are extremely important, and having a good balance in those choices is really a process unto itself. But again, like coming back to point 3, that process has to be sort of a simple, repeatable process where you revisit your choices, where you can go through a certain process in order to make those decisions and remake them.
Yeah, exactly like that. And I think those were the perfect final words for this. So thanks a lot. It was fun. There was a good question, but now it's the time to get more questions if you have. This session will be available as a recording for the Future of Product webinar series. So thanks a lot, Jan, for visiting and co-hosting this with me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed being part of it, and it's a really super interesting subject. So thank you. Thank you again for having me. If there's any questions, we can address them now, but you can always reach out to us later. If any of these subjects are interesting to you, you can reach out to me or to Henri. We're very happy to have these discussions.
Right. Hey, thanks a lot and have a nice day.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.